Good morning, everyone. Hi, Taran. Thanks for joining us this morning. Wait. Good morning, everyone. My name's Carmen Swartz. I'm the Manager of Business Services here with the Chamber, and happy to host Taran this morning as we learn all the ins and outs of developing our brand and marketing strategy for our business or organizations. I'd like to begin today's session by acknowledging the Indigenous people of all the lands that we are on, those of the Matagami and Matachewan First Nation in the Treaty 9 territory. Bear with me 1 second as I admit some more of our attendees. There we go. We acknowledge the importance of the lands which we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and improving our understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. We also acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all Inuit, Métis, and First Nations. Welcome to our session entitled Developing Your Brand and Content Marketing with Taran Bassan, Program Coordinator with Link North. This session is brought to you under our brand pillar within the Reimagined Resiliency series, which is proudly supported by Link North and Caisse. Taran is your first point of contact if you reach out to Link North, setting you on the right path for your entrepreneurial journey. Taran will walk you through the application process and guide you on the course of success. And I know, Taran, you'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later this morning. Taran has developed a career in digital marketing and graphics with a background in arts. She has proven experience in connecting with clients and helping businesses develop efficient programs and services to grow their clientele base and establish their strategic marketing systems. Taran is a specialist degree in fine arts history from the University of Toronto and is currently pursuing a graphic design certificate from George Brown College. And if that's not enough, Taran is also taking a course with the University of Toronto right now in multimedia storytelling and digital content marketing certificate. So at this time, welcome, Taran. I'll keep an eye on the chat. If any of you have some questions as we go through, please feel free to add it in the chat below, and I'll try and keep an eye on that for you, Taran, and nudge you if there are some inquiries for sure. It should be good to share your screen now that I've canceled mine.
Awesome. All right, let me just go ahead and let me know if you can see the presentation. Is everyone seeing that okay?
Yep. Taran, did you prefer if our attendees wanted to keep their cameras on this morning, or what was your preference?
Yeah, I would love to see everyone's faces. If you guys aren't shy this morning, I know it's still the morning, so you might not want to, but go ahead, feel free to turn on your camera. We do have some exercises that we'll be doing together as well today, so I will encourage participation as well. And if you have a pen and paper handy, that'll probably be pretty good too. All right, nice to see you guys. Hi, Logan. Hi, Alana. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, other Stephanie. Hi, Kim. Awesome. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. And like Carmen had mentioned, if you do have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. There will be a question period as well towards the end of the presentation also. And I'm not going to be actively monitoring the chat box. So if you do have any questions, again, just unmute yourself and just feel free to ask. All right, so thank you, Carmen, for introducing me. And thanks for this opportunity today to present with Link North on the branding and marketing presentation. So like Carmen mentioned, I'm Taran Bassan. I'm the program coordinator with Link North. So I have a background in graphic design and content marketing. And today I'm here to talk to you about branding and content marketing. Okay, so just a little bit about Link North for those of you that are not familiar with us. So we're one of 18 regional innovation centers based out of Ontario. We are the central source for innovative entrepreneurs and businesses within the far northeast during all stages of business development. So in addition to Timmins specifically, we also support clients along the Highway 11 corridor from Hearst to Earlton, the James Bay coastal communities, west to Chapleau, Gogama, and Kirkland Lake. Just to touch on our boost funding. So our boost funding program provides up to 50% funding of up to $10,000. So a really unique aspect of our boost funding is that whatever is eligible varies from client to client. So we can even consider expenses that are not listed here. I won't read this all out for you. So over the roadmap that we develop with clients, they can access funds and they don't need to access it all at once. So for example, a business can access $3,000 to work with a consultant on a marketing strategy, and then months later, again, access funds to attend an industry trade show, for example. So there's potential for businesses to also access a new funding pool for a completely different project as well. So if you have any questions about boost funding, please feel free to reach out to me. If there's any question whether or not you're eligible to become a client, just feel free to shoot me an email and we can have a discussion about that. All right, so moving into a presentation. Section 1, identify who is the brand. Question. Okay, so in one sentence, how would you describe your brand? So that's something that I kind of want you guys to keep top of mind throughout the entire workshop is how exactly would you describe your brand in one succinct sentence? So how many of you guys are familiar with the brand 3M? Does anyone know who that is? Yeah, I do see some nods. Okay. And what if I told you that you're almost never more than 10 feet away from 3M Science? Does that ring a bell? Make you curious a little bit? So how many of you also have Post-it notes today or Scotch tape in your office? And for those of you at home, how many of you have cleaning supplies or things like Band-Aids? So again, you're never more than 10 feet away from 3M Science. And you don't really even notice it, right? So this is an example of good branding that's not in your face branding. So good branding considers the value that they provide for their audience or their customer. So when developing your brand, you want to consider what value that you're providing to your audience. So this is the clearest benefit that customers can receive from your business. And these days, people are more attuned than ever to the experience of making an actual purchase. So considering what are the steps that a customer is actually taking to purchase your product and what does that journey itself look like? So there's a reason that so many people are so loyal to specific brands, and this is in due part because of their past experiences that they associate with that brand. So let's talk for a second about Howard Schultz. So some of you might recognize him as the former CEO of Starbucks. In 2011, he actually published a book called Onward, and I would highly recommend this book to anyone who's looking to switch up their marketing strategy or is kind of just looking for one of those entrepreneurial books. It's a really, really good one. But what I personally found so interesting about this book and Howard's outlook on the company itself was that he paid particular attention to the level of service each customer was getting rather than diversifying the product range. So he refers to each cafe as being a second home. And this is the construct that he maintains while telling his story of how he returned as CEO in 2008 to restore the financial health of the company. So at that time, Starbucks had become a victim of its own success, focusing on growth for growth's sake rather than staying focused to the core values of celebrating coffee in a way that embraced its social element. Success is not sustainable if it's defined by how big you become. Large numbers that once captivated me, 40,000 stores, are not what matter. The only number that matters is one cup, one customer, one partner, one experience at a time. We had to get back to what mattered most. And for those of you that don't know, when he says one partner, he's referring to a Starbucks employee. That's just what they call themselves. So he did this in a number of ways, and a lot of you would recognize this if you're a regular, and a lot of what the baristas are trained to do comes from this as well. And I know this because I was one of those baristas for a number of years throughout university and after as well. And one of the key things that we were trained to do was to connect with each customer and make every single moment count. And we were also taught really, really small things to enhance the customer experience and things that you wouldn't normally consider. So one of the things, and this is probably going to sound kind of weird to you guys, but to me, it's kind of ingrained in sort of the way that I treat people now. So it's interesting. So we were told that we weren't supposed to say, "You're welcome" when we were being thanked. We just had to say "thank you" back to the customer. And even today, I still have a problem saying "no problem" or saying "you're welcome" to people just because of that training itself. So I actually do think it does somewhat improve your mindset a little bit as well, and kind of makes you a little bit happier too. But it's also kind of customer centric, right? It's focused on that experience as well. And we were also trained on very, very small things, like how to put sleeves on coffee cups at the end of a customer journey so that they could watch and just get super excited for the drink. And it was just kind of like a way to like polish off that entire interaction with the customer. And there's this one anecdote from the book that I find particularly interesting as well, where a regular customer was asked why exactly he was loyal to the brand. And here's what he had to say. So he said, I could just as easily go to a 7-Eleven. And then while reviewing his family's budget, he told his wife that he could not give up his daily Starbucks. And he said he couldn't give it up because it's not just about a cup of coffee. He was a police officer, so he had a tough job. And he said, I see things on a daily basis that no one should see and experience. But the one good thing that I can count on every single day is how the people in that store make me feel. So the employees know his kids' names. They know where he goes on vacation. They write notes on his coffee cup. He said he could be the 7th in line, and they start making his drink right away when they see him. So the baristas knew exactly how he took his coffee each morning, and that for him provided such a valuable experience, right? So when considering the value that you bring to your audience, consider the experience as well. Right, so this is our first exercise. So what is your brand and your attributes? So you can take a few minutes to fill this out. So it's 10:45 now, so maybe we'll just take 2 or 3 minutes if you have a piece of paper. And you can just kind of fill out sort of on this scale, which would you be closer towards leaning towards? And while you're doing this, I want you to consider the internal versus the external. So does your personality or your attributes change according to your audience? So that's how you see the brand versus how your audience is seeing the brand. And then also consider current versus future. Are the personality attributes of the current brand the same as those you aspire to be in the future? And then I also want to hear your guys' opinions on this.
Taran, maybe while they're doing that, would you be able to maybe read through some of them for those that are just on a mobile phone or walking and listening and can't really look at? Can you just maybe guide them through what they would be able to do sort of in their minds?
Sure, no problem.
Awesome, thanks.
So some of the attributes that you probably want to consider is the brand a necessity or is it a luxury? And the next one is it expensive or is it economical? Is it light or is it serious? Is it formal or is it casual? Is it exotic or is it commonplace? Is it discreet or aggressive? Is it high tech or homemade? Modern or classic? Quiet or loud? Simple or complex? Subdued or bright? Black and white or colorful? And then is it feminine or masculine? And I think they spelled feminine incorrect, but. Okay, so I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys consider, and did any of this surprise you? Is it something that you would have recognized on your own without having to actually sit here and be forced to reflect on it?
I can go. My name is Parisha. Good evening. Good morning, everyone. I don't, do you want me to just kind of go down the line?
Sure, yeah. How about you tell us what your brand is first and sort of what you offer.
Okay.
And then you can go down so we have an idea.
Hello again, everyone. My name is Parisha Jones Sharon. I am the co-founder and pageant director for the Miss Full Figure North Carolina and Virginia pageant. We cater to women ages 21 to over 60, sizes 12 and over. I just celebrated my 7th year here in North Carolina, a 3rd year in Virginia. We're part of a larger brand, the Miss Full Figure USA pageant that's been around for over 30 years. And yeah, we cater to women, all women, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm the longest running full figure pageant in North Carolina. And yeah, so all of that good stuff. All right. So, of course, as you would imagine, for me, I think as far as necessity versus luxury, it's kind of split down in the middle. From the necessity aspect of it, I think it's great to help empower women. And so it's a hobby, right? But at the end of the day, it's still kind of a necessity to help empower women, right? That's in my mindset. But we're definitely a luxury pageant. It's definitely lots of glitz and glam. Is it expensive or economical? It depends on if you have sponsors. It can be very expensive. Pageantry is not a cheap venture. Even though it's a hobby, it's costly. For me, as the brand or the visionary of that particular brand, it is serious for me. Even though it's full-time, I work a full-time job as well, but it's very serious to me and what you actually put into your efforts, if you will. Definitely formal. We have meetings. We have. At the end of the day, it's a luxury pageant or glitz and glam. I think it is a little exotic, especially because it's a niche market, if you will. It can be aggressive and discreet. There's a lot of proprietary information, and aggressive in the aspect of now we're teaching them how to market themselves and actually reach out to people and so forth. Hopefully that's what you meant as far as that is concerned. I'm not sure about high tech and homemade, maybe split down the middle. There's nothing really high tech about it, probably more so homemade. It is a bit of both modern and classic. So it's a traditional pageant. It's just specifically for full-figured women. It's loud. Your voice needs to be heard. Complex, yes, because there's a lot of things that you have to do to be successful. It's bright. Definitely colorful, and most definitely feminine, as we cater to natural born females. So definitely feminine.
Awesome. That's great. And did any of those kind of surprise you, or did any of those, were they something that you perhaps didn't think of beforehand or consider?
Well, because I have a more specific brand, the high tech kind of threw me a little bit, because I don't really understand what that necessarily means, as far as like, does that mean like, are we really engaged in technology, I guess? I don't know. What does that mean for you guys?
Yeah, I think perhaps in your shoes, it could also mean, if you're looking at it from an internal perspective, it could mean, are you going out to vendors and are you securing that high tech quality, like the higher level quality, or is everything kind of homemade for you? And then I guess to people who would be registering, it would be a little bit different. But again, it could be taken in the same way as well. Like, are they, are they doing things homemade? Are these homemade dresses that they're wearing? Or I'm not too sure exactly what exactly is going on there. Or are they purchasing these from luxury brands? Or are they getting a tailor? Or are they doing the tailoring themselves? I think that might be one of the things to consider. It's a little hard to kind of pivot that one.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I think it's all relative for me. But I'm glad that you had this example for us to kind of think about, because, even as after 7 years, I'm still joining events like this to, just kind of refresh and make sure that I'm in line with industry and what's going on in the world and all that kind of stuff. So
exactly. That's great to hear.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think that's so important that you keep coming back and you keep checking in. So thank you so much for sharing your story. How about we hear from one more person and then we'll continue with the presentation. Nikki?
Yes.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi, my name is Nikki. I'm from South Africa, and I'm shaking, actually, sorry.
No worries, take your time.
Yeah, I am a planner designer. The planner revolution is starting to hit South African shores. And because I'm ADHD and a creative and left-handed, I'd spent years and years looking for, and then I found the Happy Planner in 2016, the only one in South Africa, actual Happy Planner. And it's starting to come, but I hate being told what I can have and what I can't have. So I started, anyway, long story short, I have, it's like a Build-A-Bear concept, busy building my site at the moment, but I do disc-bound planners, and it's, I do a B6 version, and then I do a 7x9, which I'm now in educating South Africa about the B sizes, because we do the A sizes. I prefer the B sizes. And my on the charty thing, sorry, was very down the middle, because for example, necessity or luxury, for the planner people who like the bullet journalists, and which I'm not an artist, I'm a creative, so I wish I could do bullet journaling like they do it, but I actually know it was invented by an ADHD man, which it just makes me smile because all my friends are bullet journalists. But so it is a necessity for me, because my brain is like Swiss cheese, and it has been my whole life. And so if I don't write it down, it doesn't get done basically. But it's also a luxury because it's so pretty, you know, and yeah, that sort of thing. Expensive and economical, also right in the middle because it's you build it yourself, so it depends.
Okay.
All my pages are black and white, so you know, if you want to decorate, you decorate. If you're just a minimalist, you're a minimalist. It's kind of like that. Light and serious again as well. I'm quite quirky with my, well, everything actually, but my planning. But it is serious as well. And a lot of people our planner community in South Africa is growing, and but it's still very tiny compared to the States and, you know, Europe and America and stuff. And so I know most of the people in our planner community personally. We've gotten to know each other, and yeah, it's a creative outlet, but it is a necessity as well. Formal or casual, I actually have done corporate covers, you know, because it's design everything really. So I've done corporate covers and branding, as well as just for like myself, you know, scrapbook paper, or I've even got wallpaper sample books that I use, whatever. Exotic, where are we? Yeah, exotic, commonplace, same as formal, casual, I think. Discreet or aggressive, I actually didn't know what to put there. So in marketing terms, I'm neither. I'm definitely not discreet because I'm not shy. I have a YouTube channel. I don't know how to edit, but people kind of like it, so that's fine. But I'm not aggressive with sales and things like that. I'm a farmer, not a hunter. I build relationships, and I'm never going to make a fortune with this business because I give them away too many times and I pass them on. I'm not going to sell someone that's something that's not right for someone, put it that way.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I'm neither. So there's no neither there. High tech versus homemade. It's definitely not high tech. It's not at all. But the end product is not homemade looking. I have a printer, and you know, I'm a bit OCD, so you know, nothing goes out unless it's. But it is, I guess, essentially a homemade product. Modern classic, you decide. Quiet, loud, that would be me. Loud, probably. Simple and complex, again, right in the middle. It's as simple as complex as you make it. I have everything from a basic calendar to social media planners to small business planners, and goal setting and your home and what's in your freezer, you know, the works. Subdued or bright, again, either, depending on what you choose. Black and white, colorful, exactly the same. And feminine and masculine, I've sold to men and women planners. So right in the middle again. So it kind of surprised me how, because I know from the planner community around the world that it's mainly for women, because we like, well, I like pretty things and stickers and, you know, all that sort of thing. But I made mine specifically because my husband liked the idea. He goes in with his, you know, notebook into meetings, but he can never find his notes. And so I've made him one for meetings and projects and clients because he can schedule on his phone. You know, so because of the discs, you know, discs is a new thing in South Africa. We've never seen them before. So it was like a complete revelation for us, and for left-handers as well. I've actually made a top bound one as well for left and right people, and they quite like that as well.
That's
so
great.
Yeah, so it can be masculine or feminine. So it just surprised me how, you know, down the middle I was there, like really down the middle. And like when I did my Facebook page, it was like, who's your target audience? Pretty much everyone, because I make drawing sketchbooks for my friends' kids on discs, and then journals for my.
So there's more than one thing that you can provide, more than one product.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
I've made bullet journals.
Yes, yeah, no, I mean, I've made junk journals and And I don't do scrapbooking, but I've actually made a scrapbook for someone.
Okay.
You know, just so the applications are.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
No, that's a great example of a business that's really kind of down the middle, and it's sort of you come and you build it on your own, right? So
yeah, it's like a
so that's great.
home by the Builder concept. So yeah, choose
Yeah,
your digital covers and then pick your pages, and
yeah,
then there you go. And it's all
yeah.
undated. It's all black and white. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyway, there we go.
No,
Just
that's
sort of give you
great.
like a
That's great. And
across
you also
Southern
touched on a really good point also when you mentioned that you focus on the client relationship.
very
And
much.
actually that is what content marketing is all about. And what we're going to touch on that a little bit later as well as in another story too. But that's great that you kind of shared your story as well and how this came to life. So
I
yeah.
have to, because people in South Africa, most of them don't know discs. So when I send off the parcels, I have a thank you card in there. And then also, please don't, I do a video call with every client when they receive theirs to show them how to use it, how to take
That's
the things off
amazing.
and how to build them. And like after sales for me has always been like a major thing, but just to teach them how to use it and then to tell them about where, because we have got a supply of Happy Planet accessories, and so I always go there for that. And there's a few disc planners designers in South Africa now, and we all do completely different things, so we all support each other.
That's
So
great.
we pass each other along that way. Yeah. Anyway,
That's awesome.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. That's great. That was a lovely example. All right, so let's move on to our next section. Okay, how does your audience see you? So you've won the sale, but have you won the relationship? And what do your customer interactions look like? Are you sharing a moment or are you simply completing a transaction? And have you captured the consumer's imagination and confirmed for them that this was absolutely the best use of their money? So again, kind of going back to Nikki's example, that was really good because she sort of focused on the fact that she goes a little bit above and beyond completing the transaction, right? She also calls her customers after and she tells them how to use it. And that in itself is creating that relationship. It's creating that trust with your consumer that they can come back to this brand. This brand is reliable. They're going to help you out every step of the way if there's any questions. That's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about Airbnb for a second. So they're a pretty customer-focused company. So in this case, the customer, both hosts and guests, are the actual brand itself. So for those of you who are not familiar, Airbnb doesn't own or manage any of the properties themselves. So they provide a forum for customers to promote and book properties, meals, and much more experiences. So most companies have a product. Not too sure why I wrote that point there. So Airbnb kind of understands that most companies do have a product, but they're trying to sell beyond that. They're trying to sell the experience and they're trying to get their customers to tell their stories. And that is where they have positioned their marketing. So it's pretty important for Airbnb to be more customer centric and customer focused because their whole value proposition is based off of their customers being both hosts and guests. So they have multiple campaigns. One is called Stories from the Airbnb Community. And they also have a Belong Anywhere brand as well. So that campaign uses imagery and short films to offer kind of a snapshot into the lives of Airbnb hosts and what a guest might actually expect with a stay. So it kind of moved the brand away from the business of houses and rooms and hotels to the businesses of homes is kind of how they position themselves in experiencing a place just like a local would, right? So stories here are kind of key for the company itself. So they position the customer at the center of the brand. And in fact, they let the customer be the brand. So that's kind of what is essential to their philosophy. And this technique works for them, not only because It helps consumers to build an affiliation with the brand itself, but because it provides them to overcome one of the biggest pain points of using a service like this. So who are the people I will be staying with, and what will the experience be like? So they offer that forum for people to come in there and answer those questions themselves. And that's why those stories are providing those answers for people. Airbnb, make Airbnb yours, create your symbol, tell your story. So Airbnb is literally built on the power of storytelling. All right, so we're gonna do another exercise. So this one is, how does your audience see you? So this one might take you a little bit more time, and I want you to kind of sit down and really think this one through. So what is the brand really great at? And 3 things that the brand is really great at. And then what do I wish the brand was better at? And 3 things that you wish that they were better at. And try to write from the audience's point of view. So the things that your brand is really great at, I want you to kind of think of 3 things that you could kind of offer that are not exactly the product that you're selling. So what is it about the customer experience that your brand is really, really great at? And what's gonna kind of make them keep coming back? So take some time, and then I'll check in with you guys in a few minutes.
This would be a good spot for us to play the song you recommended this morning, Taran.
That's so true.
But
Yeah, I
what
don't
one
know if
again?
there's Kate Bush is Running Up the Hill. I don't know if there's any Stranger Things fans in here. I haven't actually seen Stranger Things, but I've heard that that basically there was a Kate Bush song that had come out in the 80s and they replayed it. So now obviously it's trending and it's top of the charts right now. So I'd suggested to Carmen to perhaps play that in the intro, but I mean, Walking on Sunshine was great as well. So.
Oh, it was already queued up. It threw me off. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great.
It's on my list for the next event.
Yeah.
When we host you on the 26th of July for our Canvas session, I'll give Cameron the heads up that this is the song we'll have.
For sure. Does anyone need more time, or are we still? All right, a couple more minutes. So does anyone want to share what they think, what some of the things that their brand is really great at? First, if they could share their brand, and then 3 things that they're really great at.
I'll volunteer since nobody else is.
Sure.
So I work at Creating Connection, Couples and Family Therapy.
Okay.
So we're a therapy office. We do in-person and virtual appointments, also over the phone. For us, what we're really good at, wasn't really sure in like what meaning you put, but I kind of put like, we're good at taking care of our customers, being on time, we're consistent with our, answering phones and getting back to emails and stuff like that.
Yep, that definitely works.
For things that we wish we were better at, definitely marketing. It's hard to market such a wide array of different services because we have 5 different therapists who all specialize in different areas, it's really hard to brand and market, just because we don't really have like a niche. We have, you know, several niches.
Okay.
So really marketing is like our number one, like we really need help in that department.
Okay.
Other than that, I like nothing really came to mind. So
Okay. No, that's great. I think that's awesome.
Can I just say, Stephanie, my husband and I have actually done one of your marriage.
Oh, we have?
Yeah, yeah. in
Oh,
South
that's
Africa.
awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I've got the
Cool.
book and as well.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Glad to hear
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so your marketing reached here. So good on you.
Cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's about creating connections, and I think that's great because Nikki just reinforced that for you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think when it's sort of tough when you have multiple things that you could be offering, and each single one is a bit more niche. But have you guys considered sort of, you're really great at doing those customer connections and stuff, so perhaps word of mouth is sort of your best marketing tactic then?
Yeah, and that's like that's our number one thing. Like we try and be as great with everybody and, you know, just be accommodating to everybody. But it's hard, like I can't really be like, hey, you know, you had a great time today and I was so great to you, please go tell your friends. Like, so it's, you know, I hear a lot of good feedback and stuff like since I've started working here, and so that's nice. We've also had a few calls where somebody said, you know, oh, like so and so recommended you guys, so that's why I'm calling.
Yeah.
That's definitely like one of our, you know.
What about
better.
a referral system? If you,
I was gonna say that.
when you offer sort of a client a consultation, give them a pamphlet to take home, and if they give that to someone else and they sign up, they get a free 30-minute session or something like that, just some perk that you're able to give away.
Yeah.
Something like that might work for you as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea too, to see if everybody has to be on board because everybody's an independent contractor. We can't really be like, hey, you have to give free therapy for this marketing thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm actually gonna write that down and bring it up at a team meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Did anyone else want to share what they got from this exercise?
You want to know what I'm bad at?
Sure.
Because it's a long list, but I'll just give you the highlight. So obviously the good thing is I'm building relationships, networking person, after sales and all that. But I could be very, I'm on my own as well, so a solopreneur. So I could be much better at being consistent with my social media marketing and my YouTube, even though I'm actually trained as a social media marketer and all that. And I do other people's, but with me, it's different. I don't know why. I need a more streamlined system for when I get orders. Basically, because I'm a travel bag and I collect stuff, and I work in I've got like a she shed that I work in.
Yeah.
And it's a playroom as well as an office. And we have a computer business as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then with my ADHD and all that, even though I'm on meds for it, but you know, I'm always like, oh, let's try a new thing, but like I need to focus on the main thing. So yeah, that's what I could be better at.
Yeah, no, that's great. And what were some of the things that your brand is really great at? Because you mentioned the customer relationship, and what are 2 other things that your brand is really great at?
Well, I've been told that I'm like a natural networker, because I'm really, if it's something I'm really excited about, and so I am actually my brand. So my planner company is called gummy line plans. And the gummy line, I am the gummy line. My son, who's 18, called me the gummy line when he was 10, because I'm like fluffy and round, and squishy like a gummy bear. But if you mess with people I love, he says, I'll rip your head off like a lion. So he called me the gummy lion, and I really loved it. So,
That's funny.
so I am my brand. I didn't want to just take some quirky name and not have it mean anything.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like the kids at church, they all call me the gummy lion. And, you know, people, that's who I am. So I am my brand.
Yeah, you are. It's great.
I am. I'm walking, talking. That's who I am. Yeah, so I just, I love talking to people about planners, but if they're not into planners, I'm not one to say, oh, then you mustn't do that. You know, you must have a paper planner. You know, there's something, you know, everyone has their priorities, not their priorities, their, what do you call it? Their, what they prefer. You know, and that's fine, you know. I just, sorry, I don't want to take your time, but my birthday's on Star Wars Day, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And I get people apologizing to me on my birthday to say that I don't like Star Wars. And I'm like, that's cool. I don't like cheese. And then they get offended with me because I don't eat cheese. And I'm like, okay, you know,
yeah,
it's cool, you know. So if you're not a planner or a journaler or a creative, whatever, that's cool, you know. Then I find something else to talk about with them. But it's often happened that I've been talking to someone and I'm like, well, we don't want to talk about planners. What do you do? You know, what's are you interested in? And then it comes across that there's a pain point that actually the planner can help with.
That's amazing. That's great.
It happens, and you know, it just does. I don't know.
Nice. No, that's great. Thank you for sharing.
You know, yeah. So I just, and then if I can recommend someone else's, then I will, because if it's better for them, then I'm gonna.
Yeah,
you know, there's enough for everybody. There's enough clients for everybody, for everything.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and I know that sounds very Pollyanna, and I'm really not, you know, like Pollyanna, but there really is, you know, the market's just wide open.
No, that's great. I think that's a perfect way, again, of building trust with your clients as well, as when you're able to kind of step back and refer to someone else and say, okay, I actually don't have what you need, and maybe you should go to this person instead. And again, it establishes that relationship, right?
I did that with Facebook. We've got an MPO over here called Digify Pro, which is for Meta's training MPO, and I've been training. They do free training for us here in South Africa and Africa. I'm sure they do it all over. And I kind of stuck out because I was the only sort of like white 50-year-old, and but I was like in my element, you know, because I'm a bit of a township girl at heart anyway. And they wanted the planners, the Digify guys, but mine wasn't right for them. But my friend's was, and so I arranged and I brokered the agreement. But it helped her because it helped her, you know.
And that's in the end, that's what counts.
Yeah. It is actually. I know, and again, please don't make the mistake of thinking I'm a nice person, because it's just,
that's great.
You know, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. That's perfect. You're putting your customer at the very focus of the situation,
and they become
I think that's important.
And they become friends now. The Facebook people and obviously my friends.
Yeah. There you go. Making friends. That's awesome.
All right, I'm gonna keep quiet now. I'm gonna mute. Sorry, guys.
No worries. Thank you so much for sharing, Nikki, and thanks, Stephanie, as well, for sharing. Yeah, that was awesome. So one of the things I want you guys to take away from this exercise, so the things that your brand is really great at, the things that you've listed there, is actually going to be your set of brand values that you can take away from this. And from that, you can kind of develop your brand visioning from there. And then the items that you wish that your brand was better at, well, now you can kind of begin to outline your actionable steps to achieving these as goals. So brands are kind of always evolving. And as your business grows, so does the value of your brand, obviously. So you want to take care of that brand, and you want to step back and evaluate even when you think you don't need to. Kind of like Purusha mentioned, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. But you do want to consistently, there you go. You do want to consistently take the time, and it's that willingness kind of to transform that leads to continued success with your brand, right? To keep reinventing and keep transforming and keep meeting needs of your customers. Right, section 3, developing your content marketing strategy. Content marketing. Okay, so this was taken straight from Google. So content marketing is a type of marketing that involves the creation and sharing of online materials such as videos, blogs, and social media posts that does not explicitly promote a brand, but is intended to stimulate interest in its products or services. Okay, so in short, it's basically instead of pitching your products or services, you're actually delivering information that makes your buyer more intelligent. It makes them more aware of what you are selling. So it's a bit of a pull marketing strategy as opposed to a push, which is the kind of marketing that I honestly prefer, because there's so much that you can see on your phone on the day-to-day, and so much Facebook ads kind of in your face and Google ads, whatnot. It's pretty easy for us to kind of cancel those out. So in terms of content marketing, it's marketing that's sort of behind the scenes a little bit. And you know, it's things that are like tutorials, and they make you aware of the brand itself. So the essence of your content strategy is the belief that if we as businesses deliver consistent, ongoing, valuable information to buyers, they will ultimately reward us with their business and their loyalty. Okay, and a strategy is used to determine how your content will help people in a way that no other company is currently doing as well. So this is one of my favorite examples. I actually found their story on LinkedIn just randomly one day when I was looking at it. But they're a great example of content marketing. This is Chipotle, for those of you that are not familiar. There is Chipotle in Canada. It's only in select locations, and I'm not sure why, but Chipotle offers, it's a Mexican restaurant food chain. It's sort of similar to what we have in town as Guac and in Quesada. But they're a great example because their growth came from non-traditional advertising and more about positive word to mouth. And the reason why I find them so fascinating and why I chose them as an example was because they undertook their strategy with little to no money, right? So we can all kind of relate to that, having very little marketing budgets and just kind of rolling with the punches type thing, right? So Dan Fogarty, the marketing lead in 2008, said, "We didn't have any money, but we had things to say. So I always ask the same question: how do I make this work harder?" So he did this in a number of ways. He reviewed everything that they could instead control. And that was kind of material things as well. So cups, napkins, bags, delivery trucks, employee communications, items that are not considered traditional marketing pieces, especially for that time in 2008. He insisted on actually focusing on a unique brand voice instead. So he says, "We did a lot of things that were educational with humor. Other brands would just put their logo on things like cups and napkins, but I didn't have money to advertise, so I decided to use whatever I could to tell the stories I needed to tell. How to eat our burritos, where our food comes from, or about the farmers who grew it. And people loved the way that they did it." So one of the strategies that they ended up using were free coupons, which allowed for the customers to sample their foods. And it also delivered a message about the kind of brand that they were. And they also came up with a deck of cards. So whenever they opened a new store, they would give nearby offices an entire deck of 52 cards. And then each deck of cards had a coupon for a free burrito inside of it, so they could come try their food. And this part actually is also so important as well. They saw the importance of employee advocacy. So something that they understood, that every time an employee told a friend something cool about the place that they worked, it was a free impression. So under Dan's leadership, the team at Chipotle also made a training video that would have been like watching a driver's ed video, but it was sort of a mockumentary about a girl's forbidden love for a burrito. And it was fun, it was funny, it was exciting, it was humorous, and it was a way for the employees to connect with their friends outside of the actual store as well, saying, hey, I went to training today and I saw this really funny video. This is what they showed us. And it, you know, like Chipotle is pretty cool, actually. And they got a lot of customers that way. So before Chipotle could afford to buy billboards also, they made t-shirts and things like that. So one of the examples was that they made t-shirts and they shrink wrapped them into the shape and size of a burrito, and they just gave those away as much as possible. And the reasoning behind doing that was because that they were basically being worn as walking billboards, right? So they also turned no parking signs outside of their stores into signs that read, park here and we'll crush your car and into tinfoil and we'll wrap our burritos into that. Funny things like that, right? So they couldn't afford a marketing agency, so they did everything with freelancers instead. And they put the money back into their brand. So they used existing products like the cups and the napkins, etc. And they made them and twisted them into sort of a fun branding way, right? And they carried their voice alongside of it, right? So Chipotle really forces us to think about kind of maximizing the benefit of these mundane everyday things. And they also stay true to their brand voice, which is fun and entertainment. And here's a photo of the coupons that they had at the time, and then the deck of playing cards as well. And you have to think also for 2008, this was actually pretty innovative. There are a lot of brands that are doing this in this day and age, and it's referred to kind of as swag, I guess, as well. But back then, this was sort of seen as very novel. Right, so what can we take away from this? Strategy comes first. So when developing your content marketing strategy, you'll want to consider the following factors. What is the overall goal of your business? What makes your business unique? Who is your target audience? In what content format do you intend to use? So great content marketing campaigns almost always stem from a really great idea, but it's easy to become pretty stagnant with content creation if you aren't careful. So in order to avoid becoming dead, kind of dead in the water with idea generation, you need a new source of incoming information, which is why I always say group brainstorming activities are great for this type of thing. And getting your whole team on board is also really important for content marketing as well. Because when you get your team members on board, you get kind of that employee advocacy going again, and you get people investing into your brand who are actually a part of it. Right? So regularly meeting with your team for brainstorming sessions is a great way to get the ideas flowing and to spark new seeds of information. So also one of the things that sort of I like to do with my team as well, and also just other freelance marketers as well, whenever we see amazing content strategies or amazing content examples online, we share it with each other. Right? Just to kind of get the juices flowing, or like, hey, did you see this video? Do you know how this person created this? Like, what would be your tips? How would you kind of do this for this brand type thing? Having those discussions actually is really imperative actually for your brand itself. And it's not just one person that needs to see this, right? It's not just the brand ambassador or the marketing lead. It could be anybody from on the team that sees this. Right, so create a buyer's persona. So the first step in creating content for your business or your client's business is to understand who the buyer is. So once you've identified who your buyer is, you can begin to create an actionable strategy that sort of meshes with your buyer's preferences. So when creating your buyer persona, you want to be sure to think beyond very basic demographics. I mean, you do kind of want that client profile as well, but when you're kind of diving a little deeper in there, you kind of want to consider what are their problems, what's keeping them up at night, what would solve their problem, are they actively looking for a solution, and are they aware that they have a problem? Right, then you want to dive a little bit deeper into that as well. So one of the best ways to ensure that your content is successful and well received is to start backwards. So instead of thinking what type of content should we create, you want to think about it from the other side as well. So explore the types of content that your audience is already consuming, rather than creating what you personally believe to be really great content, and then trying to figure out how to get your target audience to read it. So working backwards will kind of solve that issue of, oh no, nobody's looking at our ads, or nobody's looking at our videos or anything like that. Try to see what your audience is already looking at and then follow that trend, right? So some things to consider: what questions are your buyers searching up in Google? What type of content are they craving? Do they watch videos? Do they want more science-based articles? In searching Google for keywords and analyzing the content of your top ranking competitors will also give you guys a lot of examples as well. And then when you're doing that too, and you're analyzing this content that other people are putting out, you also want to consider kind of what's the format. Is it visuals? Is it video? Is it a list? Is it social media? And what is the length of it? And how is it meeting the needs of your target audience in a way that you might not be? And is that content data or scientifically driven? Those are just some things to consider. And then following industry trends. It's unfortunate if you're not someone who likes to follow trends, but it will actually help your marketing and your content creation. As you know, things can kind of catch fire pretty instantaneously in this day and age, right? So it's pretty important to stay on top of these trends. And one of the ways that I stay on top of these trends, I subscribe to a lot of the Hootsuite webinars. I think that they're fantastic webinars. If you haven't already attended any of those before, they have a pretty good marketing team, and they cover a lot of bases, but they are always kind of pushing forward what's new and trending, what to expect in the future. So they have predictions for the next year as well, and how to kind of navigate towards the ever-changing rules and algorithms within social media and things like that. I think that's pretty relevant in this day and age, and I think it's pretty important to follow things like that as well. And then we have tools like Google Trends. So Google Trends is highly underrated. It exists, for those of you that are not aware, and it can give you informative and valuable metrics and facilitate ideas as to what's trending, what are people searching right now. And I think this example, if you can read that, it says Taylor Swift and Kim Kardashian, stuff like that. And look up current buzzwords too, and so that it can inform your language when you're trying to speak to your audience, so your audience kind of feels like you're speaking the same language. And I'm sure a lot of us have heard these buzzwords from 2021, pivot, synergy, new normal, etc. All the COVID related stuff, all the fun stuff that we want to get rid of. And then maximize your resources. So like Chipotle, right? Creating a strategic plan for maximizing your resources is so important. So think about the ways that you can make better use of your resources that you have available in order to maximize your project's effectiveness, and write them all down, right? It's so much easier when you have this list in front of you and you can see it being visibly there for you, intangible, right? That you can actually take actionable steps towards taking this and doing something with it, right? And you want to consider things like the team that you have available, and the strengths of your team members, the budget allocated for the project, and the software and programs that you have at your disposal. So one of the strengths, for example, of my team members, Ross McDonald, he's not here today. I love calling on him, but I always call him to be my model for social media because he's willing to do it and he's pretty good at it. And I am better behind the camera taking the photos because I sort of know exactly where I want to go with this to begin with. So it's easier for me to just get him to do the poses, right? So it's getting your team involved too. And then that way, when I do post it on social media, people are so familiar with him, right? They're seeing his face and they're seeing that, okay, this is the person I'm going to connect with when I go to that business and I'm looking for X, Y, and Z, right? Ross is going to be there every step of the way type thing. And that's also pretty important as well, because your clients and your customers, they want to know who they're going to be working with. Okay, so takeaways have taken up a lot of your guys' time. So here are just some points that I kind of put on one page for you to take away. So identify your brand's vision and voice. Good example with Starbucks, you know, going back to the whole idea of one customer at a time, and really having that customer-centric focus, and focus on how you want your brand to be perceived by your target audience. Like I'd mentioned before with that example, in his book Onward, he wanted everyone to kind of perceive each individual cafe as a second home. And that's something that he carried into each chapter of the book when he's explaining his marketing strategies, is that he wanted people to be able to kind of call it the home away from home, like somewhere where you can go, relax, get a fancy cup of coffee and sit down, and it's a second home, right? And then focus on telling your brand story, and develop content around this. So a good example would be kind of Nikki with her planners. Her brand story is pretty exciting. It's actually pretty interesting, how she developed that name and stuff. And she mentioned that she has a YouTube channel. So perhaps she could hop on the YouTube channel and develop a video of how her brand was created. And, you know, she could relate to a lot of people like that, I'm sure, as well. And then you're also kind of educating people as well, so they'll be able to trust your brand too. And maximize your current resources for marketing. So that example of Chipotle is one of them. They took everyday things that they were already giving away, right, like napkins and cups, and they wrote funny and interesting things on them to reel people in. I know Taco Bell does that too with their hot sauce packets, and I absolutely love reading those. I think those are really clever and funny. Yeah, and create a buyer's persona as well, and follow industry trends. So sort of getting into that mindset of what is my audience looking at, what are they doing, is going to be really, really important as well. Okay, so any questions? I know I've taken up a lot of your guys' time. Oh, thanks, Kim, for sharing that link on Gummy Line Plans. So that's Nikki's business, everyone. If you guys want to check that out, that's there as well. Any comments, concerns?
You guys found, so who found my channel, my little tiny channel? That's
Yeah, there it is.
I know, there it is. Oh my word.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to check it out afterwards as well.
Yeah. Thanks for that. I actually recommend a lot of other planner designers on there as well. Yeah.
Perfect.
Because they're really
awesome.
good. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much. Thanks for sharing your story today.
Any other questions for Taran this morning?
Yeah, I have 100, but I'm not going to waste your time.
No worries.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out to me afterwards as well if you guys have any further questions on anything. And my information is just right here.
Great. Well, thank you, Taran, for spending the morning with us and clarifying a lot of our questions that we had. And for those of you who joined and registered, the recording will be ready this afternoon. So I'll send it out in case there was something that you wanted to go back to and take a look at. Thank you, Link North, for partnering to deliver this session, as well as any session that we're hosting under the brand pillar, as well as Caisse Alliance. Thanks for attending. I know we have a lot of people here that had some questions and were able to get some clarity. So thank you for attending. Taran, as I mentioned earlier, with Cameron from the Chamber, will be delivering a session on July 26th, 10:30 a.m. on Canva. So they'll be highlighting ways that you can use the paid version of Canva and how you can develop. So if you look at, Taran's presentation today and all the beautiful graphics that were in there, Taran, I'm sure you'll
all
be happy
Canva
to
made.
all Canva made. Great.
There you go.
Yeah.
What
so
was
if you're
the
looking
date for that again?
July 26th. So if you're a member of the Chamber, Stephanie, I don't know if you're getting our correspondence because you're new with.
I know we're part of the chamber, but we're
Okay.
new. I haven't been receiving anything.
Okay, see, we'll reach out today. We'll get your email address, and then you'll get that in your inbox tomorrow on how to register. And that's supported by Link North and Caisse
I'll throw
as
my
well.
email address in the chat here so you have it.
Fantastic. Get ready for it.
what
You'll be
time
getting
is
those
it?
chamber emails.
Awesome.
So that session's 10:30 a.m. on July 26th, and there's no cost to attend. Again, thanks to our friends at Link North and Caisse. If you don't already do so, follow the chamber on Facebook. A great way to keep in touch with sessions that we have coming up and how you can get involved. And you can support other businesses here in Timmins, just supporting them by watching some of the videos. We have a ribbon cutting with Planet Fitness tomorrow, Rebel Soul ribbon cutting on Friday, Jackpot City next Wednesday, and Robin's Rustic Creations next Friday. So we go live on Facebook. You're able to comment and really see what these organizations and businesses are doing. So just a good way to be out there and get involved from the comfort of your home office. So thank you everyone for joining today. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, Taran, again.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.